You are the Christmas Santa dude. You're the expert to tell us about the real Santa Claus. You wrote a book called There Really Is a Santa Claus. Okay, who is he?
Well, during the first 3 centuries of Christianity, there were 10 major persecutions and Christians were thrown to the lions. During this time, St. Nicholas was born. He was a church leader in Asia Minor. Today, that's Turkey. And he was imprisoned under the Roman Emperor Diocletian, so he was willing to die for his faith in Jesus. He was let out by Constantine, and then there was the Arian heresy that began to split the church. Tradition has it that Nicholas was so upset at Arius for starting the heresy that he slapped him across the face. So Nicholas was in favor of sticking with the Bible doctrine, and then they had a temple in Ephesus called the Temple to Diana. It was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, 127 huge pillars and temple prostitutes. It was the Las Vegas of the Mediterranean. You can imagine, everybody going there. Nicholas preaches against this immorality, and the people eventually tear the temple to Diana down. So he was a fire and brimstone preacher. But the one story that he was known for is he would give to the poor anonymously because he wanted the glory to go to God. So there was a merchant who had gone bankrupt. And the creditors back then would take not only your house and lands, they would take your children. And so this merchant had 3 beautiful daughters. He knew if they were taken, they'd be condemned to a life of prostitution. So the merchant was in trouble. Well, Nicholas heard the problem and late one night threw a bag of money in the window, and it supposedly landed in a shoe or a stocking that was drying by the fireplace. And this provided the dowry. The oldest daughter got married. It was a big buzz, talk of the town. He throws a bag of money in for the second daughter to get married, provided the dowry. And then when he threw it in for the third daughter, the dad ran outside and caught him. And Nicholas made him promise not to tell. And that was the origin of the tradition of secret gift giving on the anniversary of Nicholas's death, which was December 6, 343 AD. And it was just a Greek tradition until the Muslims invaded in the year 1087. And they would turn churches into mosques and they'd trash the bones of the Christian saints, very similar to the way that Jonah, his grave existed in Iraq from 700 BC until July of 2014, and it was destroyed. But the Christians moved the bones of St. Nicholas from Myra in Asia Minor over to Bari, Italy, B-A-R-I, Bari, Italy in the year 1087. And the Pope is Pope Urban II. He builds a cathedral, and he eventually sends the first crusade over there because all these Greeks are fleeing the Muslim invasion. Well, the gift-giving caught on in Europe. And it got so popular that it distracted from Jesus, sort of like the movie. And so St. Francis of Assisi said, look, all this gift giving is fine, but it's a distraction from the real reason for the season. And St. Francis of Assisi invented the creche scene, the nativity scene, saying, look, the Son of God was born in a manger. So he had the Jesus, Mary, Joseph, donkeys in the manger. So that goes back to the 1200s and St. Francis of Assisi.
Wow.
But then it gets to Germany, and the Reformation with Martin Luther ends all the saints' days. There was a saints' day for every single day of the year, and Martin Luther considered this a distraction from Jesus, and so he ends the saints' days. But the people in Germany liked the gift-giving, so Martin Luther moves all the gift-giving to December 25th and said all gifts come from the Christ child. And the German pronunciation of Christ child was Christkindl. Like kindergarten, kindercare, kind means child. And so Chris Kindle over the years got pronounced Chris Kringle. So Chris Kringle is really Chris Kindle, which means Christ child. And so all the gifts come from the Christ child.